Another block out there. All right, so continuing where we left off. Comparing the ungodly, unholy grail, Hollywood, versus the divine, renowned supernatural, Hollywood grail, Hollywood stars. There's no comparison. So in the unholy grail, Hollywood, your fake queen is in England. So they don't even have any royalty anywhere on earth. If the only stated royals on earth they claim is in England, so when we take this methodical march through history, dating back to the warrior queens of Kush that killed and slaughtered Rome and Greece and Persia and Egypt. Warrior queens of Kush, the gems of the Nile Valley. The Nile Valley is today where they call South Africa. So because this imposter queen wants to take the lands of the true warrior queens that killed their greatest warriors, I'm telling you that in present day, there is the warrior queen of the Nile. South of Ethiopia is the jewel of the Nile Valley. We call that northern Tata honeymoon sunsetty. Tata. This is where they got the reference to call breast tatas. The La La Land flowing with milk and honey, the honeycomb womb is the jewel of the Nile Valley. And if you look at the most precious property that the Queen of England wants to there is a cape on the tip of South Africa. All of the Europeans, every European woman has looked in the Bible, known she ain't there. And through jealousy and envy and covetousness, has wanted to live the life of the Queen of Sheba, Bathsheba. And they erase from the history books Bathsheba and the Queen of Sheba's daughter, Amamonarenus, when Rome first tried to come down and take those lands. When the Romans and the Greeks were the same color, same skin tone as the Egyptians, as the Assyrians, same skin tone. That's why they had to erase from history books these battles and these wars. The threat to you who's trying to build a Greco-Roman white European civilization is the black niggas who all throughout history. That's who a nigga is. That's who Negroes are. They're the outcasts that keep losing these battles. That's who an ignorant nigga is. Do not stop using that word. Do not stop using the word, but use it correctly. Any black nigga pushing white supremacy is pushing white supremacy because white supremacy is a decoy. And when you chase the decoy, listen, they created a whole industry, a whole gambling industry off of this thought pattern. And when you understand that this is the only way that this is the Hail Mary, you get Hail Mary, the concept of Hail Mary in Roman Catholicism. The last ditch effort is a Hail Mary. Football, Hail Mary. Hail Mary is Hail Hitler. Hail Hitler, Rome's last great white hope. Hail Hitler, Hail Mary. Hail Mary is a Nazi woman, and Hail Hitler is the Nazi male. And the Nazi male is Odin. The Nazi male, the Hail Mary is Frigg. And then the Nazi Jesus Christ is Thor. And the transgender Nazi male is Captain America. That's the Avengers. Literally, Marvel Comics is Nazi propaganda. Frigg is Wonder Woman. The Nazi, the God, this is the God, this is the Trinity of the Vikings. That's what I just gave you. This is what black Romans and black Greeks When they lost the battles in Egypt and Babylon, then they went up to Europe and they called themselves Vikings up in Europe, and they created new names for the same gods that they was worshiping and said, we're going to try again. Now they Vikings. Now they're Aryans. They're no longer Philistines. Same Philistines that was calling themselves Philistines in Canaan, but because they lost so many battles under the name Philistine, they're like, we can't use that name no more. They keep the same structure. It's always the same Trinity. It's always the same Trinity. It's always the same sex rituals. It's always the same sacrifices. It's always the same entertainment. It's always the same priesthood. It's always the same sodomite rituals. It's always the same Olympic Games. It's always the same gladiators. It's always it's the same thing. Philistines, Persians, Mesopotamians, Sumer, Sumerians. It's the same people. Asians. It's the same people. They're refugees running to a different area, regrouping, licking their wounds, rebranding themselves, and then they come back. We the Asiatic black men now. We're gonna try again under a different name. We're Asia Minor. We're the Arabs. We're not the Arabs. We're the Ottoman Empire. We're not the Ottoman Empire. We're Constantinople. We're not Constantinople. We're Istanbul. We're not Istanbul. We're Turkey. We're not Arabs. We're Berbers. We're not Berbers. We're Moroccan. We're not Carthage. We're not Carthage anymore. We're the Barbary pirates. We're not Moroccans anymore. We're Moors. We're not the Moors anymore. We're the Portuguese. We're not the Portuguese anymore. We're Brazil. We're Brazilian. Oh, and we wasn't never black. We're white Brazilians. What? We're not the blackamoors from Portugal. We're Argentinians. Oh, and we're white. We're European. Yeah, that's it. We're European now. We started off as black Moor Portuguese, but now we're white European Argentinians. And it's all on it's a paper trail. Each one of these names is a paper trail. But genetically, there is nothing new under the sun. The mark of Cain follows each one of these amalgamations and abominations. Lying lips are an abomination to the Lord. Every single one of these abominations that I just listed, because every time they change the brand name of their abomination, they come back with another rebellion. They come back with the same old rebellion, same Trinity, same sex practices, same priesthoods, same nuns, same prostitutes, same human sacrifice, same having sex with children, same taking your sons to be altar boys, same abusing and throwing away your daughters. One child policy. Abortion is saying they do not want daughter. They do not want women. They have no use for women because they are warring against procreation. They have no use for women. They have killed women babies. Killed women babies. Every nation under the sun has killed women babies except ours. Dating back to Egypt, Babylon, when they rebel against being fruitful and multiplying, they immediately attack the women and the children. Every nation under the sun. Right now in India, right now, when you talk about these places, when China, Russia, so every nation under heaven right now hates women, hates children, got a bunch of European men or men calling themselves European, trying to be European kings. That's the world you live in. And all of y'all is co-signing their death and destruction. And all of these males, I don't care what color they are, they're all the same bastard of this party. They're the same abomination. They are the walking dead. And we celebrate the fact that we have slaughtered these Caesars. When God told us to choose, he said, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. Death. The wages of sin is death. That's all Caesar got coming. And to God that which is God's. Worship. God, the one, only one and true God, the creator of heaven and earth, that gives the breath of life, will receive worship. All males worshiping Caesar will receive the wages of sin, death. That's it. And we celebrate. We celebrate the fact. We're proud to tell our sons. We're proud to tell our daughters. We are the judge, jury, and executioners of Caesar. Always had, always will be. We are the judge, jury, executioners of Caesar and Caesar's children. And God told you that we would do this work. The men of Nineveh will judge, jury, and execute Caesar. The queen of Sheba will judge, be the jury and executioner of Caesar in this final generation, is what the Son of God said publicly to Caesar, to the Hebrews, to everybody who was plotting to kill him then. He said, all right, I'm no man, none of y'all could take my life, but I'm gonna lay my life down. But just know this: the golden rule says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So my children are going to take note of all of you groups of people here who take my life, and my two children, the men of Nineveh and the queens of Sheba, will kill and exterminate every last nation, kindred, tongue, and people that sheds my blood. And it is Judgment Day. It is investigative Judgment Day. It is time to give an accounting. So we're going to go to the source of where they deceive the world at. We're going to expose how they deceive you through Hollywood, Because God said, by beholding, you become changed. By beholding, by beholding. He said, guard the avenues of your soul so that you may be able to withstand the fiery darts of the devil in the evil days. Put on the whole armor of God. Guard the avenues of your soul. The whole armor guards the avenues of the soul. He says, so that you may block, you may stop, you may defend against the fiery darts of the devil in the evil days. So if you don't have the armor on and the devil is throwing fiery dart, this is literal. The devil is throwing fiery dart of a contagion at you. And you haven't guarded the avenues of the soul of what you watch. He said, by beholding, you become changed. So all you're watching is these prostitutes prostituting themselves. All you watch, all you look up to and emulate are these effeminate males. Have no moral, have no morals, have no code of conduct that is supported by the bedrock of ages of they have built their houses on sand. He told you what happened if you build your house on sand. It's going to be destroyed. The cornerstone that the builders rejected has become the capstone. He said, the same stone that y'all rejected, I'm going to use it to crush your head. So if they ain't building on the cornerstone, which is the only building material authorized in buildings that can withstand the test of time. He said, because they've gone and used inferior building materials, I'm going to take the renowned supernatural building material and crush everything they build and then crush their head with the same exact cornerstone that they rejected. All right. So, I told you, they're attacking through what you watch. Sprite goes out and gets this clown of a male. This tells you how far gone this millennial generation, these three generations below us, it's two generations below us. The millennials and the final generation, Gen Z. Generation Y, Generation Z. We're Generation X. My father is the baby boomer generation. And my grandfather, by their own words, the greatest generation. And my grandfather is the greatest king of the greatest generation. And I challenge anybody. I challenge anybody. We the only people that could claim to be kings on earth. Only kings and queens on earth. And everybody who stands with us, we have already put our stamp of approval on our royal court. Everybody in our wedding parties is a part of our royal court, and they are kings and queens too. So let's get to the by beholding you become changed. Four phases of the Greece and Rome theater. Four phases: drama, comedy, satire, tragedy. So the word says Be not deceived, God is not a mock. Whatsoever a man soweth, that you will also reap. This is the golden rule. The grimiest reapers, he says, sow death. Go ahead, sow death. I want to see you sow death. I want to see you attack my children. I want to see that. Let's see it. Be not deceived with these clowns running around here talking about they be God. I want to see a God on earth. Let me see it. And the moment you show that to me, I'm going to cut it down. The moment you show me a fake false God, I'm going to show you what we do to imposter idol worship. I'm going to show you what this word of God, reality. You want a reality show? This is the Battle of Armageddon reality show. Ain't no fake, ain't no tragedy, ain't no comedy here. This is the fulfilled promises of God. So, what are the four categories? Drama, comedy, satire, and tragedy. Their favorite is comedy and tragedy. This is their favorite. Because the ultimate movie that they love is the Passion of the Christ. They love to mock their demise and their own tragedy. They're mocking themselves. They reenact the death over and over so that they can spit in his face again and they can celebrate the one time that they was able to actually not hear rebuke. For 3 days, they didn't hear judgment. Every other day before then, all they heard was judgment and fire and brimstone, condemnation. So, what's comedy? Comedy is their way to every single day and every single production mock the Son of God and the fact that they killed him. Tragedy. They see it's a tragedy for them to lose their religious liberty. It's a tragedy. It's injustice that their sun god worship system was destroyed when the Son of God showed up. It's a tragedy that their temples and shrines was destroyed. They call it a tragedy. We call it pure justice. You don't deserve to worship other gods. If you want to worship another God, give the breath of life back, then give yourself breath, and then worship who you want. If you want to worship other gods, prove you God then. Give back the breath of life, then bless yourself with breath of life. Worship who you want. It's that simple. It's nothing to talk about. It's nothing to get mad at. It's nothing to hold forums about. Don't nobody care about what you're talking about. Ain't nobody gonna help you. Can't nobody help you. So what? What are you talking about for? It's a tragedy. No, they're suppressing religious liberty. All they're saying is because y'all exposed us now, the world doesn't want to live our perversion and our harlotry. Nobody will deal with us. They calling that a tragedy. You're the tragedy. Your very existence is the tragedy. Your ignorance is the tragedy. Your rebellion is the tragedy. So cover comedies, tragedies, satire. This is the craziest one. A satire is actually a half beat, a half man, half goat god that they worship. That's what a satire is. Half man, half goat. They've never existed. They never walked the earth. They never nothing. Satire. So when satire plays a flute, the Greeks had the same god. It's called Pan. The root word of pandemic, pandemonium, panic attacks. Their whole system is set up to worship and glorify these gods, these fake gods, and disrespect the one true God, the Messiah. That's who they are. That's what they do. Like I showed you, they do this drama, this comedy, this tragedy, and the satire behind masks. Why masks? Because they're the darkest skinned people on the earth, Greece and Rome. But they were trying to shake their identity because they had lost so many battles. Theater masks. So these dark skinned Romans and Greeks put on masks with white faces. This is the very first white person that people saw. Understand through this Hollywood industry, the males did all the acting. So they would dress up in drag and they would play the parts of women too. But at nighttime, they would go home and they would get with their lovers and they were no longer acting it, but they were still in drag queen attire. They not acting now though. No, this is that's who they were. White faces on a masquerade, covering up your face.